Are we on? Are we live?
It's time for Two Guys and a Beer. Sit back and join the guys as they turn up a cold one and talk about sports, politics, and current events. Nothing fancy, just two politically incorrect guys who aren't trying to change the world or get rich quick. They're just here for the beer.
Welcome to episode 10, Two Guys and a Beer. I'm your host, Scott Cochran, along with my co-host, Jason Cochran. And I believe this is episode 10, right?
I don't know.
Man, what am I paying you for? You're supposed to keep up with this stuff. Yeah, let me look real quick, but I'm pretty sure this is episode 10, and we're glad you guys are with us. Today is September the 10th.
I want to come up with a cooler name.
Of what?
You know, like a cooler podcast name.
So you want to get away from Two Guys and a Beer?
No. My name.
Oh, so you want to be like Francois?
No, I don't want to be any kind of French name.
All right, so we want to call you Mac Daddy or, Mick Nasty.
I don't know. I'm going to think about it.
All right. Y'all, listen, do this for us. Send us a tweet to beer_guys and tell us what McNasty's new podcast name should be. And while you're at it, go over to our Facebook page, facebook.com, Two Guys and a Beer, and Facebook us. Tell us what you think he should change his name to. The name I gave him, Jason, is just too boring.
No. It's just, I don't know. It kind of feels awkward when you say, I'm your host, Scott Cochran, and along with my co-host, Jason Cochran.
All right, so why don't we just drop the Cochrans? I'm your host, Scott. I'm your host, Scott C., along with JJ, Jason Joe, or whatever. All right, well, you can see we don't do a lot of this off the air like we should. All right, so this episode, we don't have any in-studio guests. We don't have anybody going to call in. But I tell you one thing, I did see your boy Jason Carter is now following us. So shout out to my boy. Shout out to Carter.
I actually ate lunch with him at Hooters today.
That's why he's following us.
Yeah, we were talking about it.
So he actually listened to a show?
Yeah, he said he's pretty interesting. He said it's entertaining none the least. So.
Well, Carter's pretty simple like me, so it doesn't take a lot to entertain him.
I know. I talked him into going to the Harley dealership next door. He almost bought him a motorcycle.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
I know. Well,
Carter, get you one.
He won't say XL 1200.
Yeah, Sportster. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And is he still with?
No.
No, man, I hate that. She was pretty cool. What was her name again? Boo Boo. What was
Tommy.
Tom.
Well, they might. You never know what Carter.
Yeah, you never know. So Tom, if you're listening, I doubt you are. Facebook us. Let us know you're out there. All right. Anyway, the premise of this show is Two Guys and a Beer. When the beer is gone, the show is over. And usually this is the part where we do listener feedback. Do we have anybody other than Carter? He gave you some listener feedback, right?
Booyah.
I told you that he liked the show. And so if you want to give us some listener feedback, go over to Facebook or tweet us. And what's the Twitter handle again?
Beer_guys.
All right, we still have that spot available in Helen to play with Bobby Cox, the former manager of the Braves. $175 will get you and a friend. Well, $175 gets you, and another $175 gets a friend in. We have 2 slots on the foursome open. You can play with Bobby Cox and soon to be famous Mick Nasty of the Two Beers.
Why are you calling me Mick Nasty?
You said nasty was like cool. It was better than cool.
Yeah, but I almost feel like you're calling me like you're thinking of McDonald's.
Yeah, that would be.
Do I look like a Big Mac?
I
might look like a Big Mac.
Big Nick Nasty.
Shh. You're getting too many Nicks over there.
I'm going too far here. All right, so in this episode, a couple of things we want to talk about, especially me. We talked about Diana Nyad the other day and that awesome accomplishment. But,
way cooler if she'd have been eaten by a shark.
Yeah, that's what I remember that. But she wasn't eaten by a shark, so she made it. But now the endurance swimming or long-distance swimming community is casting some aspersions. That's the word for today, folks. Aspersions on her accomplishment, saying that there's just too fast. She went too fast.
So when you say aspersions, do you mean doubt?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean.
Okay.
They're saying that the 53 hours she spent in the water was about 7 hours too short. They're saying that she had a normal pace of roughly 1.5 miles an hour to more than 3 miles an hour, and then slowed down as she got to Key West. And Nyad's people are saying she caught the jet stream. She caught the ocean current, the jet stream ocean current that pushed her along. And at some points they said she was doing almost 4 miles an hour. And basically they had her on GPS, and it was live. And people were, just basically saying she held onto the boat.
So how do they prove it? I mean, I know they...
Well, I mean,
it was live or whatnot, but how do they prove that she held on to a boat?
Well, I mean, it's going to take somebody in some of her team to come up and say, "Yeah, she held on to the boat," because otherwise, there's no proof. And her team is adamant, saying that she did not cheat. So
here's the thing: do you take back the fact that if she did cheat, do you take back now that it'd have been a lot cooler if she got ate by a shark? Like, do you take back your whole no answer?
No, I don't. I don't think it would have been cooler. One thing we forgot to tell you, though, school is in session.
School's in forever.
You like that song, don't you?
Every time I hear it, I think of Dazed and Confused, which is a really good movie if you've never seen it.
No, I hadn't seen it. I don't think I've seen it. All right, so, but that's another thing about cheating. Just like you and I were talking about the whole NASCAR deal that came up. How do you prove intent? Now, of course, with Diana Nyad, it'd be pretty easy if any of her teammates said she held onto the boat. That's just cheating.
Yeah, I mean,
but the old boy spinning out there, and they're saying he spun out on purpose.
Well, no, NASCAR tried to prove he spun out on purpose.
Well, nobody knows that.
Well, I mean, I just read something a little earlier. I remember I was telling you that I couldn't find anything, and it said, says, I should have highlighted it, but basically it says that NASCAR cannot prove that he spun out on purpose. They're just going with the things that led up to the spin out, that it almost looks like he spun out on purpose.
Right. Well, I don't really think.
But like I was talking about, I really don't. I think NASCAR is more upset. I mean, for me to explain all what happened to you guys is going to be very difficult because it involves numerous race car drivers that I can't remember all their names.
Oh man, you'd have to have a program to keep up with it.
Yeah, well, it's basically Michael Waltrip Racing has a couple race car drivers that were one's in the chase and one was not in the chase, and basically what happened is Ryan Newman was winning the race. There was about 7 laps to go. A car spun out. Somebody went through the pits before he spun out. Got a point for another person. Then he spun out. Ryan Newman lost the race. He didn't make it into the chase. And according to how the finish came, Martin Truex Jr. made it into the chase. Now, like we were talking about, NASCAR ended up fining Michael Waltrip Racing, suspended the general manager of it indefinitely, and now they're trying to say that Martin Truex Jr. Well, they've already said it. They're not trying to say Martin Truex Jr. is not going to be in the chase. They're giving it to Ryan Newman. They've fined $300,000 or more to Michael Waltrip Racing. So to me, like, I just think it's kind of dumb. I think they're mad because they got hoodwinked. Somebody figured out a way that they could get their other teammate into the chase. A guy so happened to spin out, which caused the Ryan Newman not to win the race, and it kind of looks like he spun out on purpose, or the evidence could point to that. but there's no way to prove that he did.
Well, you got to understand NASCAR has always been this way. It's a private enterprise. If you don't like it, don't race. The France, Bill France and the Sons have always run that thing like a little kingdom, and they basically do it to keep the fans interested because the fans equal money. If you did it to appease the racers, pretty soon without the fans, you'd have motorcycle racing. Basically you'd have a lot of people racing and very little people in the stands and no money in it.
Well, and I don't think that what just happened would have no money and people would stop going to see racing.
Oh no, it's like, cumulative. I didn't mean that one thing is going to.
Well, I understand,
but it's cumulative. I mean, that's why they did the whole championship point series anyway.
Yeah, the race to the chase, or the chase or whatnot they call it. But what I think is, it's just like I was telling you a little earlier. I don't understand how you can penalize somebody for allowing their other teammate to get into the championship series. Like I used the example, if I'm in a foot race, if we're all in a foot race and you're on my team and we're running and I realize that if I lag a little bit or if I stop and get a drink of water, even though I don't need some water, and effectively get you into the championship series, how can you penalize me because I helped my teammate out? But by lagging a little bit. Well,
that sounds simple, but and
it's not like I lagged. It's not like I lagged and then got into a lower bracket, and then the next day I went out and shot a 67 on the golf course. If you want to go to golf, people talk about lagging in golf. You go down and you
sandbag. They do it all the time.
Yeah, but this is not sandbagging. In an essence, it is, but in the actuality of it, it's not.
Well, but I think you just answered your own question there. He sandbagged to get his teammate in the race.
But it's his teammate.
Wait. But in a championship run, the more teammates you've got in there, the better you are.
Exactly.
So he sandbagged to get his teammate in, which basically is violation of the rules.
How is it there's no rule that says you can't do that?
There is a rule.
I bet there's not.
There's a rule.
The reason what they're doing is
there's a rule because NASCAR, the France people said there's a rule. I mean, NASCAR is not. Understand this now. NASCAR is not a committee of the owners like it is in baseball. That's not the way, or football. That's not the way NASCAR is. Team owners do not have a say in the rules. I mean, they may have suggestions, but ultimately, there's one family that controls NASCAR. So that would be like one family control. If one family controlled Major League Baseball, they could have decided, you know what? I'm not going to give Barry Bonds the home run record, even though he hit that many because he's on steroids. It's obvious he's on steroids, and I'm not going to give it to him.
But here's the thing. The France people aren't the ones that – I don't know if they're the ones that came out. I don't even know if they're the ones who still run NASCAR.
I don't know if they do or not.
But what I'm saying is what just happened, in my opinion – by finding them because they were able to get more teammates into the chase because of the way the point system is set up, I don't feel like it is their – I don't think NASCAR should be able to find them because they got hoodwinked. They're upset. Somebody figured out a way to beat them to effectively do what they want to do. This guy played a little sleazy chess is what he did. Chess. He played a little sleazy chess, and he beat you.
Now, listen, while you're talking about it, I just looked it up. NASCAR is still family-owned and operated. It is second only to the National Football League in terms of television ratings. They have 75 million fans who purchase $3 billion annually in licensed products. You understand? That's not what they get out of the gate now.
I understand what licensed product is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that as just a emphasis, not that you couldn't understand it. But so the family runs this thing, just like the mafia.
I still don't care. Here's the thing. They could run it like the mafia. They could run it like whoever they want to. They could run it like McDonald's. I don't care. Here's the thing. Somebody figured out a way to get their extra teammate into the chase, and effectively get the guy who was leading the race not in the chase. Now, there's no way they can prove that he intentionally spun out other than the guys,
the results.
These two guys
right.
talking about pit stopping to get another guy a point, which happens all the time. People let other people pass them to get points. That happens all the time. So now it's only a problem because, one, this guy might have intentionally spun out, but can't prove it.
It affects the chase.
Exactly.
So, all right, well, I know you're upset about it.
I'm not upset. I just think that it's stupid. I think that they're kind of being dumb about it, and they're fining people for no reason.
Well, it's one of them things. So
I mean, it's not they're fining them for no reason. They're telling them, hey, they're sending a message. Don't everybody do this again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Don't everybody do this again.
Pretty much. That's right. All right. Well,
Anyhow.
this is the spot where we talk about our show sponsor, or not our show sponsor, but a show that we like to follow, which is GF6.
You always say GS.
I do because my initials are GS. GF6. Pretty cool website. Let's check them out.
GF6.com. We are everything Xbox. Game forums, game reviews, cash prize tournaments, Madden leagues, podcasts, movie reviews, and more. You can buy games in our game market for 80% less than retail. You can sell your games in our market and get fair market value. List all your games for free. Create your own gamer profile. Post your videos and get your hands on exclusive GF6 gear like the Dirty Hoodie to show off your GF6 pride. Join the GF6 Nation today. Go to www.gfsix.com. GF6. Join the GF6 Nation.
And if you're in fantasy leagues, I think they have a pretty decent fantasy league over there at GF6. Speaking of fantasy leagues and football. Yeah, you had. Do we need to talk about your predictions last week? I mean, that was. I have to say it's sweet.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about football. You can guess all day long and probably beat me because you don't know what you're talking about.
Come on. I knew Georgia was going to beat South Carolina.
You had no idea.
I knew Miami was going to beat Florida.
Yeah, you knew. You knew Florida was going to turn the ball over 5 times in the red zone.
Exactly. I think I mentioned that, didn't I?
No. That's the reason why Florida lost to Georgia the year before is because they turned the ball over 5 times, 3 of them in the red zone. Florida should have beat Miami by 3 touchdowns. South Carolina didn't show up. Bottom line, they were between the hedges. Hey, Aaron Murray played a great game. I'm not taking anything away from him. Gurley stepping up and becoming the back that he needs to be. So I'm not taking anything away from Georgia. They're obviously right now the team to beat in the East because they've just beat South Carolina and they control their own destiny. And Florida doesn't play Georgia and South Carolina until later in the season. But as of right now, Georgia's, like you said, Georgia's on top. And
in
the end, in the East, Missouri's 2-0. So Tennessee's 2-0, but they haven't played anybody.
Well, we're still in that same situation that as we go along every week. I think I'm going to keep saying this. Louisville has a chance to win out, and Georgia could beat Alabama on a good Georgia's good day, Alabama's bad day, and then Louisville will be playing for the national championship, assuming nobody, Oregon doesn't lose.
Clemson. But here's the thing. I think Louisville deserves a shot.
Okay.
They beat the brakes off Florida last year. Teddy Bridgewater is an amazing athlete, amazing quarterback at that. He is silky smooth in the pocket. And I would rather, be honest with you, I'm tired of seeing the SEC win. I'm tired of it a little bit. I know.
What?
I mean, it's been like 7-8 years, dude.
So? You wouldn't be tired of if it's Florida winning.
Yeah, I would. If it was Florida every year and we were stomping somebody, if we lost a game or two this year, I would want to see if we lost a game and there were 2 undefeateds like Louisville and Clemson, I would think Louisville and Clemson deserved it. First off, Clemson is a very good team. They beat Georgia.
Come on, we're not giving people shots at the championship because they're deserving. The national championship.
What are you talking about?
Between the best teams,
exactly,
and that's why last year Alabama and Notre Dame was a yawner. The national championship should have been Alabama and Georgia.
No, we saw that.
We saw
that game,
but it wasn't the same as the national championship.
Here's what we found out about rematches: Florida State. Florida State beat Florida in 1997. Florida came back in the national championship game and drug them. Something like 54-20. All right. LSU, Alabama a couple years ago. All right. LSU beat Alabama by a couple field goals. Alabama did have some misses. What happened when they played again? Alabama beat the brakes off of them. All right. Nobody wanted to see Georgia come back and beat the brakes off Alabama. All right.
Yeah, you're pretty much right.
I mean, nobody wants to see that. And that
Nobody
wouldn't have
wants
happened. Aaron Murray had the
Yeah.
game of his life last year in the championship game. Let's be honest. Let's be honest right there. You don't beat Nick Saban. You don't come close to beating Nick Saban twice. Bottom line. He's a great coach.
All right, so all that's well and good. I had a good weekend. I enjoyed your discomfort on Saturday.
Upset. I was not upset.
And but you know what I tell you what I was really discomforted at was the Falcons were in the same spot last year.
Same spot.
And did the same thing.
Here's my thing. All right. You've got Steven Jackson. You just got him.
Run him.
All right. He is a powerful back. And
3 yards?
3 yards.
Come on.
3 yards and we do 2 passing plays. You didn't try to run it one time. Not one time.
Who's calling that play?
Derek Cutter. I mean, but here's the thing. You have 3 yards. If you're powerful back.
Try it once.
Well, my thing is if your offensive line can't move 3 yards, or at least 2 yards, and then do a quarterback sneak.
Yeah, what I'm saying, they got to move 1.5 yards, and then I believe your running back's going to get that extra yard and a half.
Why not play dirty football at that point? Not dirty as hurt somebody, but dirty as in hard nosed, cutthroat.
Exactly.
You line up.
Quick
you put everybody in the box.
Boom.
You hit a fullback. You hit a running back right behind him. Maybe you don't even have to hand the ball off. That I don't know. I just felt like it was.
I'm like
it's
you.
not good. It's not good.
I'm like you. It was just.
I mean, and we were in the Superdome, so I just hate losing to the Saints.
The Aints.
Frig.
Oh, good gosh.
And then talking about fantasy football, let's just get into this for a second. All right, my top 2 picks in one league had 14 points combined.
We should start. Not to cut you off, but we should start a fantasy league. We should have 2 guys in a beer fantasy league. You could be the commissioner. And
people would think I was cheating because I won all the time. I just don't understand
how. But we should charge us $1 or something, trying to make some money on this.
Well, you have to give it away at the end of the year. Whoever wins, you have to give it away.
Well, we keep 30%.
What is this, the house?
Yes, the house.
But I want to get back to fantasy football real quick. One of my teams, the league with my buddy Jordan, right? I scored 183 points. That's incredible. All right. I mean, Colin Kaepernick went off. Adrian Peterson went off. I mean, I was just unbelievably good in that league. I mean, my team is pretty good in that league. My team in the other league is not bad, but I took a different approach. How does Calvin Johnson only have 7 points and Reggie Bush has 35? All right? That makes no sense to me. Reggie Bush with 35, and I knew he was going to be good because of the offensive scheme in Detroit, and somebody just got drafted him before I did. It's all a calculated risk. Like, do I need to draft this guy right now, or can you think I can get him later and get another guy? So it's all a calculated risk, and somebody scooped him up before I could get him because I knew he was going to be good. But still, 35 points. Calvin Johnson has 7. Matthew Stafford, if you listen to this, you throw him the damn ball. You throw it to Calvin Johnson.
You hear that?
Matthew.
You hear that, Matt? Former Georgia boy.
Shitty boy.
He already doesn't like
rant.
you.
That's my rant for fantasy football.
That's your rant for fantasy
football. And Dez Bryant, what are you doing, bro? Miles Austin's making you look like a punk. Sorry, that's it.
That's it. All right. We should look at. We can't do it this year, right? It's too late. We can't do a fantasy football. We should look into it next year.
That would be fun.
And do a fantasy league.
2 guys in a beer fantasy league.
2 guys in a beer fantasy league.
You know what my name is on fantasy football?
What is it?
$5 footlongs.
$5 foot. That should be your name. We just found you. $5 football.
Yeah, can you imagine saying that? Hi, welcome to 2 Guys in a Beer.
I'm your
host,
Scott, and my co-host is $5 football. $5 footlong. Yeah, I'd have to write that and paste it up here because I'd forget. $5 footlong. That's like when we the last put dog we had. Her name was Dixie, and we gave her a last name of Normus.
Dixie Normus.
So we'd say Dixie Normus.
It's like my iPhone. Siri says, your name is Jason, but since we're friends, I can call you Dixie Normus.
Let's hear that. Let's hear that while we're here. Okay. And Siri, speaking of Siri,
Siri, what is my name?
You're Jason, but since we're friends, I get to call you Dixie Normus.
Well, this is a good segue into Apple's new release tomorrow. I hear Siri is getting a new voice.
Well, they talked about it today, right? Didn't Tim Cook come up today?
I didn't see it, but the release is supposed to be tomorrow, right? Is it tomorrow or today? Today's Tuesday? No, I guess
today.
It was today. Yeah, it was today. Yeah.
Siri's getting a new voice, and I didn't really get to watch it because I was at the job interview.
Right.
From everything I've looked at on TV, they really didn't come out with anything mind blowing. Nothing impressive.
Right. The 5C.
That's the cheap one.
That's the cheap one. Does the C stand for color or China?
Color.
See, I knew they weren't going to say China,
but it does stand for China.
It does. It was made in China and made for China.
That's exactly what it's made for.
Mm-hmm. And they did the 5C instead of lowering the costs on the other one, and add some color into it. Got away from just the black and white. Now they've got silver, gold, and space gray. And the new iPhone S is supposedly 40 times faster than the original iPhone.
The original iPhone was made in 2000.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it's 40 times.
Yeah.
I hope my phone's 40 times faster than that one.
Yeah. So did they did get a fingerprint sensor,
Yep.
Touch
Yep.
ID? Built
But
into
people
home.
knew that was going to happen.
When Jobs was alive, they didn't have these leaks.
No,
Because
because he would murder you.
I think so. I think Jobs would say, "Look, guys, if you release this crap, we will never buy anything else from you," because it all came from China supplier.
Yeah.
They all released it.
I mean, and it's like this guy talked about today. He said, the guy was talking about, we didn't have anything really impressive on this iPhone, and the guy goes, "You're spoiled.
Yeah.
You're spoiled." And he was basically talking about knowing all the stuff before it happened.
Right.
But he was like, "You're spoiled." Steve Jobs was a once in a millennia type of guy. He was once in a time period. You don't get two guys like Steve Jobs.
So what did they do with the iPod? A lot of people said they thought they would just nix the iPod.
I don't know. I don't keep up with technology like that. But I did read today that this guy's not buying the fact that Apple's going to come up with this little watch that's going to revolutionize it. He thinks it's going to be in the living room. He thinks it's going to be a TV.
Well, they were supposed to update the Apple TV. We have the Apple TV in there, but they were supposed to come out with some not necessarily a new box, but have some new software. And
here's what I don't understand about you. You have two iPads. You have Apple TV, and if you knew how to work it, you'd probably have a Mac computer just because of the profession you're in.
The logo on the back.
The profession you're in. Yeah.
No, I would.
And you come on now. It's made for artistic design.
Yeah, but I wouldn't, because we have to have 4 or 5. We have to be all compatible in the office, and
that's what I'm saying. But I understand that. But they're making apples now where you can be compatible with it, whatever.
Well, they have cross compatibility. That's true.
But here's the thing, and you still won't get on the gravy iPhone train.
Look, I didn't drink the Cupertino Kool-Aid. All right.
Nice reference.
My Droid is better than the iPhone.
No,
it is. It's just
define
better.
the word better.
It's better in the.
No, define the word better.
I tried to, and you cut me off.
No, you said it's better in the way.
It's better.
You can't use the word in the definition. Everybody knows that, and I saw you using Wikipedia earlier. That's not a reliable source. You try to use that in a paper.
Wikipedia is not.
You try to use that in a paper, they will fail your ass.
Well, that's because they're dumbasses.
Huh?
Wikipedia is. Look, I'm a Wikipedia, and that's obvious. This a good reference, but I'm just saying, it's better. All right.
Define the word better, bro. Can your phone do that? Why don't you click your phone and ask it what your name is?
What good does that
do?
The
user experience.
Hey,
you know how funny that was to you?
I will admit the UI on Apple is better for people who are not techno savvy.
But here's the thing. Even people who are really techno savvy are real savvy with that could still use the iPhone and have just a good user experience.
I'm not denying that. I'm just saying that the Droid that I have, and the Droids in particular, especially the one like your brother got, has a bigger screen, has better color.
It's 2 generations newer than mine. So
it's going to be better than this new iPhone S, 5S.
But here's the thing: Do you need that big of a screen in a phone?
If you want it, yeah. I mean, we used to have
Really?
We used to have the little flip phones. They had like a 2-inch screen, and we all say, "Oh, we don't need a 4-inch screen." But yeah, when you get a 4-inch screen, you like it.
You do like it, but here's also the thing. All right, how big are your pants? How much can your pants really effectively hold?
Hey, let's don't go there. My pants hold a lot.
No,
okay,
no,
let's don't go there.
Don't. But what I'm saying is, pretty much, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have such a big phone, you're going to need a purse to carry it around. And I do think that Ron would carry a purse.
It's not a purse. It's a
satchel. It's a satchel.
And
Indiana Jones had
Indiana
one.
Jones carries
But
one.
here, you know, hey, you know what? My screen's not that big. You're right. But it's not the size of the screen, baby. It's the person holding it. All right?
It's the finger punching it.
It's the finger sliding it, baby. Finger sliding it. You know, Ron's phone is nice. It's cool, and it does, you know, it's got a nice, but I would rather, I'll be honest with you, he took him all day to figure out some of the features on that phone.
Look, it took him all day to figure out his first girlfriend. He just played with her all day, just like he did that phone.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I figured this phone out in, 3-4 hours.
Yeah, but that just means your phone is simple. You know?
But it's what I want. Okay. It's a simple phone that does everything that I would ever want it to do.
Everything. You know, I will admit, the first time I saw my buddy had an iPhone, the first time I saw it, I think I got an erection.
You probably did.
I mean, you know, he pulled up a YouTube video. We were driving down the road, and he pulled up a YouTube video, and I think I wet my pants at that point. I'm like,
you had to,
dude.
There's no way you did,
dude. You mean? And it lagged a little bit. He said, you know, if we're not on Wi-Fi, it lags a bit. He was, and then
but
back
that was
then
when everybody had 3G.
Well, no. Back then it was 1G. There was no 3G back then.
Oh, wow.
This is when the first one came out.
First one, okay.
Yeah, 1G.
The one with the silver bag.
Oh man! And we're driving down the road, and he's watching a YouTube video.
You remember?
I was just blown away.
Blown away. You remember when we went to Augusta on our family tradition?
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve and movie day, and my Christmas present that year was the Droid phone, the Motorola Droid.
I remember that.
All right. Do you remember that phone was incredible? I thought it was the best phone ever. Had the slide on it, and it was just an awesome phone. That phone sucks compared to this phone.
Well, now compared to now, yeah.
I mean, and even after I remember when I got the R2-D2 Droid.
Yep.
2.
You loved it.
Oh, I absolutely loved it, but it was more for the aesthetics of it. It had R2-D2 on it. I mean, it was incredible.
You're a geek.
Yeah, I know. Try, do or do not. There's no try, sir. I almost said that in my job interview.
Yeah.
At the end of it, he told me there was 15 people who they have interviewed for this final position, final interview, which I thought was a lot, yeah. And I told him about the podcast. So hopefully he'll listen. But anyhow.
Hopefully not till he hires you.
I'm not talking bad about the company. I think the company's great.
Oh, no, I'm just talking about, you know.
Oh, yeah. Maybe he won't go into all the other stuff, yeah.
Oh, my God.
But so,
the whole drug thing we did last episode.
Oh, they can drug test me. I'm clean. Anyhow, so he at the end of it, he goes, when your name comes up and we're talking about you, what do you want us to know about you? And I almost led with that. Do or do not. There's no try. You know what I mean?
Would have been cool.
I almost led with it.
Would have been cool. If he's my age, he should understand. If he didn't understand that, you don't want to work for him, no way.
No, I would still want to work.
You know, I'm just saying. All right. Well, speaking of that, did you see what we posted on Facebook? The Guinness wheelchair basketball commercial. Did you look at that?
I did not. You're talking about Guinness beer, right?
Yeah, Guinness beer.
Not Guinness Book of World Records.
No, the Guinness beer. Since this is two guys and a beer, go to our Facebook page. Guinness has a wheelchair basketball commercial.
Are they drunk?
No, they're not drunk, but they're playing. You really. I don't want to spoil her on this.
Don't spoil it. I'll watch it later.
Watch it later and tell me if that isn't just an awesome.
Hey, have you ever seen people do wheelchair basketball like in person?
Not in person.
That shit looks hard.
I bet it is.
First off, you got to have incredible upper body strength to wheel like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and you know, at Georgia Southern, you could get into an intramural league and do wheelchair basketball. You didn't have to be handicapped or anything. I thought that was amazing. I almost did it, but then I saw him do it one day, and I was like, yeah, I'm not getting in that. That's a can of worms I'm not opening.
Well, speaking of
speaking of
wheelchair basketballs, you know, I like to do that, and alcohol. The Guinness. You know, what about this
We should YouTube us in 2 wheelchairs playing basketball drunk. That would be awesome. Or maybe jousting.
In a wheelchair?
That would
wheelchair
be filthy.
jousting.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, I'll work on that. But I know there's a something you wanted to bring up that you brought up over the weekend because you took your puppy dog to the vet.
Ray. Yeah. Okay. Have you ever noticed when you go to the dentist or when you go to the vet how nice those people are? They're incredibly nice.
Yeah, I never really thought about it till you told me, but I have to agree with you. They're customer service. I mean, in friendly relations, they're off the chain. I mean, but only when you compare them to
doctors.
Yeah, doctors.
Those
offices.
people are shitty. I don't ever want to go back. You know what? I think when I get sick, I'm just going to go to the vet.
What do you think?
Because, baby, I'm a dog. You know what I mean? I'm just going to go to the vet.
Oh, why do you think that is? Why do you think these vets, the people in the vets, are nicer than the doctor?
I've been thinking.
Dentists, truly, I mean, dentist receptionists are very nice.
Even the dentist. I mean, you ask a doctor. I feel like sometimes you ask a doctor a question, and he's aggravated that you ask him. And some doctors are like that.
I was going to say, I've got a good Dr. Ray up here. And
Dr. Ray is pretty cool.
He really is.
And Carrie's pretty cool. I like her.
I would say that even if it wasn't for Dr. Ray has a great bedside or patient side manner.
But what I'm saying,
they are. But and I got to say, I love the people in the reception, but they're
not nearly as nice.
They're not nice.
Nope.
I mean, they're not. Well,
Nope.
I say, let me back up.
Maybe their job is harder.
That's what I was
don't
going
know.
to say. That's what there's not that they're not nice.
Yes, it is.
No, they're not.
You don't have to lie. She doesn't listen to the show.
They're not. They're not overtly friendly. They're not.
No,
they
not
don't
at all.
greet you like they're happy to see you, like they do at the vet or like they do at the dentist. When I go to the dentist,
that lady is smiling from ear to ear.
Hey, how you doing? How's Jason doing? Blah blah blah. Like you're gonna sit there for 2 minutes and have a conversation.
And you do too.
Now I don't know if the billing and all the crap that they have to go through and all that paperwork in a doctor's office they have to keep.
It's got to be the same.
No, I don't think.
Well,
so.
Here's the thing: when you're
dentist, you pay for it up front. Doctors a lot of times file it. Most people don't have dental insurance.
Yeah. Well, when I go to the dentist, you do pay for it at the time. But those ladies have to use a computer and figure out what tooth you're on. And then they have to go through and book you with different dentists and different cleaners. So I understand your point. I do. There might be stuff that doctors, receptionists has to do. But when you go to the doctor, you got the flu, you feel like shit.
Yeah.
When you go to the dentist office, you feel great.
Well,
other than having to go to the dentist.
At least you got a toothache.
Most of the time. Well, most of the time. But if you just go for a cleaning. But what I'm saying, is that when you go to the dentist, the doctor's office, you're not going for a routine checkup most of the time. Most of the time, you feel bad, right?
Yeah, true.
All right. If you have a cavity and you're going to the dentist, you don't feel bad. You just know you got a cavity, right? But when you go to the doctor, you feel bad. And those ladies are shitty.
Oh, yeah.
They're mean, and they're like, you got an appointment?
Now, we're not talking about one particular doctor now. We're just talking
just
about overall,
in general. I'm blanketing most of them together.
Except for some clinics, I guess you go in.
I don't go to many clinics because I don't really need to get tested like that. But
I'm talking about like outpatient.
Oh, okay, whatever.
About. Come on.
But those ladies, they always have that. They always have that glass that you can't see back there.
Yeah.
And then when you go up there,
right.
you're just like, hey. I feel terrible. Yeah. Oh my God! And they're just like, sign in and sit down.
Sit down.
You have a magazine?
Like,
no.
Yeah, Can you tell me how long? When he's here? When he's finished? He's on the lunch break right now.
He's eating his sandwich. Damn. All right. I'm just gonna sit over here and die in your waiting room.
Right. Please don't. I'll try not to disturb you. I'll try not to make them. I'm fixing to throw up, but I'll try to do it.
And what I don't understand is when you go to the dentist or when you go to the doctor, they're not friendly. We've got that point. They're not friendly. But when you take your dog to the vet,
I know. They're
oh
just
my
overjoyed.
God,
yeah.
they're
your dog
the
is
most
dying, but you're happy
rubbing
to see
its
you.
ears. And
maybe the receptionist should like rub our ears.
If I feel bad, I would really like that.
You're like, come here, let me give you a hug.
What I'm saying is, I would like that.
You feel bad, baby.
How awesome would that be?
Come here, let me hug you. Take the window away.
Rub your belly.
Yeah, rub your belly.
How awesome would that be?
You my little sweetie feel bad.
Yeah. I would be like, you know what? I'm coming to this doctor all the time. I would love it.
Hey, so you know what? That's what we need to do. We need to have a doctor who just loves you.
We need to go talk to Carrie.
Yeah.
Get her, and we just need to start our practice.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know,
Get a
we'll
PA.
run the market.
Well,
we'll get 50% of the market.
We'll done just like that. You know, the old folks come in and they're like, "Oh, man." Oh my God!
The old folks come in.
Oh, you killing me!
Oh, that's hilarious.
You killing me. That's hilarious.
That's good radio.
That's great radio. It just so happens that's a good note to end on. The beer's gone, and the and
Beer's out. Beer's out.
Beer's
here.
out, and we're like out of time.
Out of time. And we'll remember what we always like to say here at Two Guys and a Beer. School is out. And that was awesome.
Oh my God.
She said I really fucked up this time. Little did she know I didn't care. Tired of her tragedies and her lies. I can go through hell all by myself. All wrapped up in broken dreams. I've been down and in between. Seen hell more than twice.
All right, I got to pee. Are we done?